One question I get fairly often is what happens after I get home from a photography trip? People see the final images and the videos on YouTube, but there's actually quite a lot that goes into the process of editing, organizing, and backing up those images and video clips before I can publish them. Today I'm going to walk through my entire process of what happens when I get home, how I import, edit, organize, and back up my images. First thing I do when I get home is I offload my SD cards from my cameras and I take the data from those SD cards and put them onto my working drive. Now I'm shooting OM system gear, so I'm using SD cards, and that's what holds all of my files for videos and photos. When I'm shooting the OM1 Mark II, I have my top card slot as being my video clips. The second card slot in the camera is my photo clips. So right there I have things organized so I can easily upload just my video clips and just my photo clips in separate files there. I typically have multiple SD cards back from an outing. I have my vlogging camera, my main camera, possibly my GoPro, a drone. All of those things need to be offloaded. So what I do is I put all the cards that I need to offload data from, I put them on the right side of my computer. And then as I insert them into my computer, offload the data, I then put those cards onto the left side of my computer. It's just a very simple and visual checklist that I know which cards I still need to offload and which cards I have already taken the data off of. It really helps in eliminating the possibility of putting a card in your camera that has data on it that you have not exported yet, and then ending up formatting the card and losing all of that data. Now, I don't just take the data from my SD cards and just put it right onto my hard drive without renaming the file first. On my NAS system, which we'll get into in a minute here, I have different files and different folders that I place data into. My main overarching folder is my main photo library. From there, I have folders for the different years that I've taken photos in. Next, within those year folders, I then have quarter folders as well. So photos that I took in December of 2025 will be in the Q1 folder of 2025. Then within those different quarter folders, I then have location folders. So I frequent a couple locations, and those locations have separate folders within there. I also may have folders for specific projects that I'm working on. If it's a project that's going to take multiple outings, multiple locations, long-term projects, they'll have their own separate folder as well. And then within those folders for the specific locations within the years, that's where I put the files that I just shot in my most recent outing. I will name that folder on the SD card, the specific date that I was out to get the footage, the specific location. Also, if I'm doing anything with a specific camera or lens, I will put that in the information. And then I'll also put specific species that I took and photographed or took footage of in that file name as well. So that when I put that folder from the SD card into my working hard drive, the folder name itself gives me a lot of information right away about what is in that folder. Really helps you find images and video clips that you're looking for without having to dig into every folder within your hard drive. Now, important thing to remember is this file naming process works for me. I typically remember a rough time when I took a photo and then a location that I took that photo as well. And my file naming system allows my brain to find things quickly on the hard drive based on how I've labeled them. Your brain might work differently, and it's important to kind of try different things to see what works for you to help you find your images quickly in the field. One of the biggest mistakes I used to make when I first started was I would just export my folders from the photos that I just took, and I would just put the date or the location of where I took those photos and put them right on my hard drive. That makes it really hard to find specific files or photos that you took a couple months, a couple years ago, because you don't really know what is in that folder. So being as specific as possible when naming your folders really helps you find things farther down the road. Now let's get into storage before we get into the whole editing process. Now, I used to use SSD drives for my main storage, my working drives. This is the Samsung T7 drives. I use them, I have quite a few of them. You can see they're numbered here. I would definitely recommend this drive if you're looking for a good portable working drive. Now, the problem with those drives is, especially when you start shooting a lot of video work or start having a lot of photos you're bringing home, those drives fill up really quickly. That's a 2 terabyte drive, which sounds like a lot, but once you start shooting a lot of video work, they fill up really, really quickly. Now I'm using a NAS system from UGREEN as my main working drive. Now NAS stands for Network Attached Storage. Basically it means it connects to your home network, so you're able to access your folders, your files directly from your internet connection, and you don't need to have anything plugged into your computer. It's really convenient, and the huge advantage of them is that they have a massive amount of storage you can put into these disk arrays. So the one I'm using from UGREEN has 4 different bays, which means you can put 4 different disk drives in there of varying storage capacities. So you can really have a huge expandable amount of storage that you can then swap out as drives become full. Now UGREEN sent me this NAS system to test out, and I've really enjoyed using it because it has really expedited and organized my workflow to be able to store and locate files a lot quicker than using a lot of these portable SSD drives. Now I'm able to have all of my files and footage in one location. I have one main catalog that I can access things from multiple outings, multiple sessions, and different months and years for footage. Makes it a lot quicker to find things, and it really expedites the process, especially when you're working on a video that has footage from a lot of different outings. Being able to have all of my storage in one location on this NAS system really means that I don't need to have a whole bunch of these plugged into my computer, and it alleviates a lot of the headache of trying to remember, okay, which files are on which drive. Everything is just standardized in one location, and it makes it a lot more simple. Now, the other benefit of using these NAS systems is you're able to have some redundancy in your files as well. Right now I have 4 terabyte disk drives in the UGREEN NAS system. So that means I have 16 terabytes of storage in that device. Now you can either have it set up that way so you can use all 16 terabytes of storage. Right now I have it set up as a RAID 5 system and formatted that way. That means that if one of those drives fails, I still have the information saved and it can still be recovered on one of those other drives. That layer of redundancy just really has a nice peace of mind, knowing that if in case something happens, I will still have the files that I can recover. Now it's not the same as a backup, we'll get to that in a second, but it is a nice peace of mind and a nice layer of security for the files and footage that you capture in the field. One thing I really like about this NAS system is that I can edit 4K raw video footage into DaVinci Resolve without there being any lag or choppiness when I'm reviewing and editing the footage. Now for backup, I use BackBlaze, which is an online cloud-based backup service. I have it so that it schedules to backup at different times. And it really works well for me because it gives me an off-site cloud-based backup storage that if anything happens to my drives, I can retrieve it from them. I also put my old projects that I've done with on my SSD drives that I don't use anymore, because this is just another layer of storing information. That way it frees up some space on my working drive, and then this information gets backed up to BackBlaze as well. Now let's get into actually the editing process. We're going to start with photos because that's a little bit simpler and it's a little bit easier. I use Lightroom for my photo editing and cataloging. So when I initially import my photos onto my hard drive, I then import them into my Lightroom catalog. And I import all of my photos into Lightroom. I don't delete anything in the process of transferring them or deleting anything on camera. Within Lightroom, it's really easy to pick the photos that you want to possibly edit. You just can hit the keyboard arrows to go side to side, left and right, and then I just use the P button to pick the photos that I actually want to edit. You can do this really quickly. You can sort through thousands of photos really quickly by just hitting the P button to pick the photo. And what I basically am looking for is looking to see if the photo is sharp, seeing if the composition looks good, and if it's something that I actually am interested in editing. You can sort through a lot of photos really quickly, and this initial pass through of the photos typically eliminates at least half, if not more, of the photos I took in an outing. Then from there, I can delete the photos that I did not pick, and then I can sort through the photos that I actually picked and want to look at again. Then I do a second pass, and that's when I rate the photos. A photo that has 0 stars is one that is sharp and interesting, but not one that I need to edit. And then the photos that get 1 or 2 stars are ones that I actually want to edit. That weeds out another 25 to 50% of the photos. So you can see that I pared down the photos really quickly on ones that I took that outing all the way down to ones that I'm actually going to edit. And then I start with photos that are rated as a 2 and begin editing those photos and then work back to the 1-star photos. Sometimes I may not even edit any of the 1-star photos if I have enough 2-star photos. As I'm editing the photos and actually taking the time to edit them, that's when I will rate them either a 3, 4, or 5. 5 is the best that it can be, and then it goes down from there, from the 4-star to the 3-star. Then as I have those photos edited in the 3, 4, and 5-star photos, I then arrange those photos, and that is when I actually keyword those photos so I can find them later on when I am looking for a specific species or specific location photo. I can put in those keywords to those photos to find them easily in the catalog. Now for the keywords, I try to be as specific as possible. I put the species name, I put the location, I put the weather conditions, everything that can be very specific to a certain photo that'll allow me to find it really quickly in the Lightroom catalog months or years from now when I'm looking for a specific species or type of photo. Keywording really allows you to find photos quickly when you have a catalog that has a couple of 100,000 of photos. Now, one mistake I see is that photographers keep every single photo that they take. Ideally, you're going to be wanting to delete or eliminate at least half, if not up to about 80% of the photos you come home with. Chances are there's just going to be photos that are not sharp, not worth editing, and not worth taking the time and money to store those photos as well. You can waste a lot of storage space by holding on to photos that are just out of focus, blurry, and really are not worth editing. Storage is expensive, and having too much clutter is just going to slow down your process of finding photos down the road when you need to find a specific one. Now, keywording is probably one of the boringest part of the whole process, but it is really valuable at saving your time down the road when you're trying to find a specific folder or specific file for a project you're working on. For exporting the photos, it really depends on what your use case is for that photo. I typically don't export my photos unless I have a specific purpose for using that photo, and that purpose will determine how I'm exporting that image from Lightroom. If I am exporting photos or video clips for a specific project, I will export them into a folder within that project so that everything is located in one place within that project itself. Now for video, it's a little bit different. So there's no main catalog system that you can use to kind of organize your video clips. So what I do is when I'm working on the project and I import those files into DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use to edit my video clips, I will sort through my video clips as I'm editing them. So if there's any video clips that just don't cover what I'm trying to do or need to be trimmed, I will do that as I'm reviewing the footage in DaVinci Resolve. That way I don't need to review the video clips twice, and I can just, if I find a video file that needs to be deleted, I will then go into the hard drive and delete that as I'm reviewing it. It just helps to free up storage space because, again, video clips take up a lot of storage space. And if there's any video clips that need to be trimmed down, you can do that to save space as well. This is just one of those time savers that I found where I don't have time to review all the footage that I take out in the field. Instead, I can do that as I'm actually editing the video clips in DaVinci Resolve. Now, if there's any specific video clips that really capture something really exciting, I will rename the video file so that I can find that quickly later on down the road. But a lot of times right now, I have basically my file folder system does a good enough job for me to kind of remember what video clips are in that folder, even a couple months and years down the road. So that is my complete workflow from start to finish. I hope it was helpful for you. I hope it kind of plants the seed on some ideas on how you can organize your files so that you can find them down the road. If you're interested in saving a couple $100, I have a link down below in the description where you can save up to $300 on the UGREEN NAS system during Amazon Prime Day or Prime Week. So if you're interested in that, check it out down below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.